You ever feel like you're lagging behind in AI and can't catch up? Well, if you do, you're at right place today. Today, I'm going to teach you how to be better than 90% of the people on how to use AI. So let's get started, shall we? Just for my quick introduction, I am the co founder and CTO of AllWeOne, and here is my usage of AI in the last 6 months, majority of which comes from the last 2 months. So rest assured, I know what I'm talking about. Today in this video, what I will be explaining is how I use AI to its maximum potential in order to get a really high quality and production level output. Starting with the tools that I use, they are mainly Codex and Claude Code in combination with one another and a sprinkle of anti-gravity whenever I run out of usage. So how my day-to-day workflow looks like is planning with Fable and executing with GPT 5.5, then doing a one pass of review with GPT 5.5, fixing all the problem that it flags. After that, I do another review pass with Fable 5 and then fix all the problems it does. And then I go and test the feature and look at the code and do what I need to do. So rather than me just mumbling about what I do and what I use, let's just get started with the example of how I exactly use these tools. Here, what I want to do is I want to make the tool calls and all the steps that an agent takes in order to create the base document to be persisted in its database itself. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm persisting it in its child database like notes and sticky notes and drawing, design, and mainly the presentation. I don't want that anymore. I want this to be in the global base document level. So I want to ask the AI to do this. So here I will start with the grill me skill. Here for this particular task, I don't actually need the grill me skill because I know exactly what I want. But for reference, for example, I'm going to use it anyways. So let's just do grill me and then let me just type the prompt out because I don't even type with my hands. I just speak it out. The application that I use is Handy. It's an open source voice to text tool which you can use and you can customize it to your heart's extent. You can do post processing with AI and whatnot. So you can do a lot with Handy. So that's one reference. That is what I'm using right now. What I want to do in this application is, yes, this is in general what I write as a prompt. Yeah, I've been using Fable a lot, so yeah, I'm close to limit because I'm just in the $20 tier. So I don't use Claude Code much. I use primarily for planning. So $20 is enough for me. And I think they have like quite generous amount of uses limit available at the moment because I think they are testing what a power user is capable of doing with Fable 5. So I think they have a lot of generous uses even for the $20 tier at the moment. Yes, you cannot do like the actual power use, but using it in combination with GPT-5.5, you basically can get a lot of work done with just $20 here. Now, this will provide me an ask me question and I will get back whenever it asks me a question. So here it asks me a question. So the question it is asking me is, what should the canonical stored shape of the agent activity be? Today it's flat and structured tool that turn and throw away at collection time, but your end goal is to make the chat out of the base document and chat nice. So yes, saving the full UI message transcript is the better way because I do want to make chat later on. So I will choose this option. So I just submit. So it asked me more question and I answered. While this is going, I'll explain why this is useful. So what this grill me skill that was designed by Matt Pocock is actually trying to do is it is helping me get a shared understanding with the AI. I as a developer need to know what is being built and how is being built and what surfaces is it touching. So whenever it asks me question, it builds that understanding more for me. So that is what the benefit of grill me skill actually is. Yes, you already know that AI is capable of doing all the things that it's doing, and its default recommendation that it does in the grill me skill while asking the question are good. You are like more than 80% of the time going to select those recommended options. But when using this, it will help you get the better understanding of what is being developed so that you can have a mental model and guide the AI later on, as well as fix any problem if they arise later on. So that is what the actual use of grill me skill is. So finally, the AI did give me the specs of how this feature will be implemented. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and then use this spec in GPT 5.5, probably in goal mode or default mode, in order to build this out. Yes, for this we could use specific spec generation skills and whatnot, but I think that these models nowadays are good enough in order to make the specs, so we don't need any skills for making specs. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to copy this and then go to Codex, start up a new thread. Probably I'll use the goal mode because it's better, and then I'll just paste that and then just tell it to implement this spec, and then I'm just going to press enter and then let it do its thing. While this spec is being implemented, I will skim through all the different things that I actually do in order to make my day-to-day work much more efficient. I have 4 or 5 worktrees that are not actually specific to anything. I just have them lying around so that I can quickly rebase the main into that and then work on a different feature without actually colliding with anything that is going on right now. For example, now if I wanted to start with something else here, then I would just not be in this test branch. I would go to, let's say, a root branch or this tribe name. I haven't renamed it, but this is also one of those do all work tree. And they are the work tree for the same project. So I can just go to the root and then do something else here without actually interfering with anything in the test root tree, where right now I am doing the design section improvement. So all these names don't go to the name because I haven't really renamed them yet, but yes, I have 4 work tree lying around and they are not specific for any of the tasks. They are like there so that I can split my task easily and I don't have to keep spinning up work trees and work trees, because right now I'm only working on this ALLWEONE project and nothing much. I have occasional side things like creating raycast extension or doing a random one-off scripts, which I do from here, direct chat, so I don't need to actually do that. And occasionally, whenever I run out of tokens, which I do a lot, I also use anti-gravity. It's not the best thing that we can use, but yeah, it's better than nothing, right? So it also provides free tier. I think free tier is also good, but I had this promotion once where I could get like 4 months of anti-gravity for free, so I basically have that, like 2-3 accounts, and then I basically use those. GPT 3.5 Flash is really good, but it can't really solve anything. If I have something like specific I need to change in like 50 files, rather than writing a script to do that, I just come here and tell 3 Flash to do it and pretty much does it. So that is how I use anti-gravity as well. Yes, Opus 4.6 is good. We can plan with this as well. If we have nothing, it's better than nothing. So I think anti-gravity is one of the best way to get started, because yeah, they offer a lot of generous free tier. So now 5.5 is done with its implementation. So what I will do now is I will tell 5.5 to review this code once. So this is what this thread actually does. So it flags me some of the problems now. What I do now is read these problems that is flagging me, see if these are actually correct and it is flagging correctly. After that, I will decide whether or not to fix these problems. So here it is telling me there are some problems. But right now what is happening is I feel like the thing that is trying to tell is not exactly how it happens in my code. So I'm going to ask it. So here I sent this message in order to clarify more things. You need to ask questions to AI whenever you don't understand whatever it say. Ask it to clarify what is it that it is flagging. Ask it to verify the flow of your application, and that is how you build a understanding of your code base. So after I asked it a clarifying question, it did verify that it was wrong in its first try. So we need to be careful about not trusting the AI entirely, and other problem that it flagged are also not worth fixing. It is just telling me to be careful about certain things. So now I'm done with 5.5 review one time. I'm going to move to Fable 5 review. Now here I asked Fable in order to review based on the spec that it wrote, and it gave me these reviews. So here I stashed the changes and applied them, so that's why I got merge conflict, and this is what it's flagging this about. I fixed this problem, so this is not an issue. And another problem is this backfill problem, and yes, I have to deal with this in 2 stages, but I'm aware of this issue though, so it does not matter. I can fix it whenever I run the migration script. So all the things that it flagged are not critical. So what I will do now is I will basically go ahead and look at the code. I have already went through the code and figured out many things that I needed to solve. So I'll just begin with a very blatantly obvious thing that we always mostly need to do, and that is cleaning up GPT-5.5's code to be much higher quality code. GPT-5.5 always writes this really nested, deeply branching code, which is very hard for a user to read, as well as it is very unmaintainable and unmergeable kind of code. So we need to massage that code and get it to the shape that we like, get it to the shape which actually meets our standard. So I did that in a couple of passes of Claude Code, because Claude Code and Claude in general writes a really high quality output. Even 4.8, Opus 4.8 writes really high quality code. So I use that and I massage the code in order to solve that. So a couple of these threads are actually doing that. Here in this thread, I fixed the problem which arose whenever I was cleaning up the code. Then I did a couple of review passes here. And one other problem that I figured out was the AI did not actually do all the things that were actually mentioned in the spec. It only did half of the things. So I had to go ahead and tell Codex in order to do all that as well. So here I told it to fix certain things. Here I fixed the search backfill, and then in in this thread I fixed more things. So I iterated and iterated, and now I have reached to this backfill activity function. So now I finally have a backfill. But before that, I would like to share a certain trick that I use in order to get maximum potential out of my subscription. And that is using ChatGPT website as Codex whenever we run out of Codex usage. Interesting thing about ChatGPT and Codex is that they share different quota. Unlike Claude, where Claude Code and Claude.ai share the same quota, ChatGPT has different for both of them. We can actually go ahead and use ChatGPT.com whenever we run out of Codex. And ChatGPT has the concept of MCP connectors. So we can basically build a MCP server in our local machine, have Codex tools in it, and then connect to ChatGPT and then use it via the ChatGPT. So it basically works the same. Yes, the system prompt are not going to be the same, but I don't think in GPT-5.5 it matters. They are already trained with all the bash tools and all the tool calls. So it doesn't really matter. I think you will get comparable output. Yes, we are not going to get the actual various feature of a harness like slash goal and skills and whatnot, but most of the things would be there, and it's better than nothing. I will have a link in the description for a GitHub, which is the MCP server that you can connect and host in your computer. So basically how it looks like is like this. You connect your app and then the AI can just go ahead and use it. So you can connect it from here and then apps, and then you can create an app. That means you connect, and then you can also change the permissions so that always allow is there, so that you don't have to deal with any of the permission asking. So that is how I get the maximum amount of my ChatGPT subscription as well. So as you can see, I'm still using the ChatGPT, and mainly I use this for auditing and not implementing, because implementing is still done much better by the Codex app. This can be good for the exploration review task, because it does not have to have like a whole lot of things for reviewing. That is what's good about this one. We can have a separate pool of quota from which we can just do a review pass. I would really suggest this to be done for only the review. Implementation also works. If you have nothing, it's good, but this will mainly be useful for the actual review pass. And that's how the review path went. And mostly I am done with all the passing and all the reviewing, and now I just need to merge the code. Right now I haven't opened any PR. I just work in the main branch, and I know that's bad, but I just basically am the only one working in this project. So I just commit in the main and have all my work split across different work tree, and I merge to main as soon as I'm done. So yeah, this workflow is working for me. So if you are working in a team, this workflow of mine is probably not going to be the best suited and not going to work the best for you. You probably have to go through the entire PR workflow and all the things. Yes, I should do that as well, but I'm not doing. That's whatever. So that's the entire thing about the project. So this video has been a lot of jumbling around and a whole bunch of nothing. So basic takeaway from this video is I would tell you to follow Matt Pocock and Matt Pocock's skill. He has updated his skills to be version 1.1. They are a lot better. Names have changed. So the entire workflow, how it's going to look like is you start with a grill me session with the AI to have a common understanding between you and the AI. Second, you will write the spec, and then you will implement the spec using whatever model you like. I personally like 5.5 and now 5.6, and you will do a bunch of review passes and fix all the things and then push the code. So that is how it needs to actually work in order to get the most out of AI for production ready code. So more things at the end that I would like to add is not being afraid to have a conversation, whether it be dumb conversation or whether it be smart conversation, it does not really matter, but you have to have conversation with the AI in order to understand what is it that you are actually trying to build. And you need to ask the AI what are the aspects, what are the surfaces that is going to touch in your code base, what are the different things that is going to do, and what are the different ways we could actually solve the problem. So you need to have a whole lot of conversation with the AI to get to this understanding, the middle ground between you and the AI, so that you can prompt it much, much better in the next thread. I see a lot of people, as well as I do it sometimes as well. I just go and blindly prompt the AI. And in the example that we saw previously, that was the main thing that I did as well. I blindly prompted the AI without knowing what are the surfaces, what were the different fields that were in the database that needed to be migrated. I just blindly thought it was a simple thing and went on to do it. So that is why I had to do a lot of back and forth and iterating in order to get to the point which I could have probably gotten in one or two shots if I actually understood what was going on, what was the thing that I was trying to do. So I did not understand that. That's why I had to do a lot of massaging and a lot of iterating in order to get to the result. I should have probably scrapped the code and started over again once I found out, because code is really cheap now, but I did not in order to show it as an example. But that is the one thing that you need to be really willing to do. You need to ask a dumb question to AI. Asking dumb questions to AI is really what helps. This part is for the absolute beginners and who are just starting out and who are like wondering what is going to happen and how is this coding industry going to look like. So what I will say is this is the best time as well as this is the worst time in order to get started with coding. So why is it the worst time is because you can really get lost and skip a lot of things and get left behind because you over rely on AI and you just don't clear any of the fundamentals that you actually need to clear. So that is why it's the worst time if you are not careful. But if you are really careful and you really want to understand what actually happens is you can ask a lot of dumb questions and clear your doubts as soon as they arrive. You just need to be willing to put in the work, and you just need to be willing to not let the AI do all your work. So what I will suggest is asking clarifications, asking what is it that the AI did, and asking what was the reasoning behind it, asking why is it that it works, asking for what is the bad implementation of this going to look like. So asking all these different kinds of things and understanding from different perspective is what is going to help you. I will suggest you to modify your agents MD or Claude MD if you use any of the coding agents, so that it does not directly jump into the implementation part, so that it holds your hands and brings you with it. It makes you understand why is it that it did something. It will help you understand more about the basics, what is right, what is wrong. So I see people who don't even understand the difference between server and client writing code with AI and thinking they did something cool. Yes, the basic things are always going to be working, but in order to build some real thing, a real production app, the gap in the skill is already going to be visible. If you don't understand the difference between server and the client, you basically can't do anything. So that's my suggestions for the new people that are just starting out. There will be more videos like this coming soon, so I suggest you to like, share, and then subscribe. New Theo is on YouTube from today. So peace out, nerds.